home, auto, and life insurance. For 14 years, he worked for Country Financial, and during that time, he obtained his Series 6 and 63 licenses. He also earned the designation RICP, Retirement Income Certified Professional. In 2022, Sean decided that he could give better help to his clients if he moved to the independent market. At that time, he also earned his Series 65 licenses and chose Honor, Townsend, and Kent as his new broker and dealer. The biggest reason for choosing HTK was the fact that while they were a small firm, they still were big enough to offer an open platform for him to offer a wide variety of products to his financial clients. In 2025, Sean and Brian Threckle merged their businesses to provide a greater array of benefits to their clients. While Sean handles all the investment products, Brian handles most of the property and casualty insurance. Today, Sean offers retirement planning, annuities, investments, and money managed accounts for his clients. He still lives in Jessup and has been married to Holly since 1998. They have 2 beautiful children and attend church at Calvary Baptist in Jessup. We welcome you, Sean.
Thank you. Thank y'all for a couple of things before I start. Number one, that makes me sound a whole lot better than I really am. I'll go ahead and apologize for that. 2, I hope that the meal is not the best thing of today. And 3, I will promise you I'll try not to bore you too terribly bad. So right now, Amy and Jeannie are passing out a sheet. And what we're going to focus on first is the 1 of 2 on the bottom of the page. It says 1 of 2. That's where we're going to start. But before we start, I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much for allowing me to come to speak to you today and be here with the Glennville Glennville Rotary Club. I was a member of the Jessup Rotary Club up until July. I just got too busy and couldn't go to the meetings anymore, so I ended up stopped going. I've been a member of their board for I can't tell you how many years, and I was a past president also. So I know about Rotary. I know what y'all stand for. I know about the 4-way test and everything, and I really do. I love Rotary, and it broke my heart that I had to stop going. But you know, you have to do that sometimes. So, what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, and like I said, I'm trying not to be very boring because sometimes this can be very boring. There's several types of risk involved in investing. One is withdrawal rate risk, inflation rate risk, sequence of return risk, and market volatility. What I want to talk to you today is about market volatility. I tell all my clients whenever they're putting money into their account, don't worry so much about what the account is doing. Just be consistent with it and put money in. I work with all kinds of folks. I work with from executives to millennials who are just starting out, and they're like, look, I've got $50 I can put and do something with. We do that. I've got clients who have multi-million dollars. We do that. I don't think anybody should be turned down. Now, that makes me a little busier than most people because I have a whole lot of clients. Some people feel like they need to have a small amount of clients with a large amount of money. I don't really care. I want to help people. I just like helping people. So what we're going to talk about today is the difference in putting money in and pulling money out and how that looks with rates of returns. So if you look at the first page right there, this basically illustrates a person who has $100,000 and they put that $100,000 into an account and they left it there for 25 years from age of 40 to the age of 64. So if you look on the first one where the purple is, you see the annual rate of return, 2%, 26%, 15%, all the way down to the bottom where it says negative 38%. So what this does is, all this does is takes those returns and flips them upside down on the blue side. So you see it starts out with a negative 38%, a 4, a 14, and a 3, and goes all the way down to a positive 2%. But at the end of the day, the 2 accounts are worth the exact same amount because they both of them averaged 8%. So this is where I come in with my clients and tell them, look, don't worry so much about what your rate of return is when you're putting money in, because it's all going to average out at some point. If you'll flip it over on the back side though, this is where it becomes interesting. This is where the planning comes in. So they did the exact same thing. They took what the accounts come up to be, $693,000, And they decided, okay, we're going to start taking that money out. And we're going to take out $35,000 a year. So what they do in the purple side, they start out with positive returns, and then at the end, they have an 8% return, rate of return. And then on the other side, where the blue is, they start out with a negative 38%. And you see in this scenario, the person runs out of money at age 85. They both were at 8%, but one runs out of money. The reason is because of the market being down in that first sequence of withdrawals. So you have to be very, very careful when you're in retirement how you pull your money out. And there's all kinds of ways. So going back a step, I guess, I have like Ms. Pat said, I have an RICP, which is a Retirement Income Certified Professional. It's a designation that took about a year to get. And it basically taught you all about sequence of returns, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things. And one of the things that jumped out at me was how, when you're a planner, you're supposed to plan for your clients how to take money out. And a lot of people don't like annuities. A lot of people just are like, I am anti-annuity, I hate annuities, I've heard they're bad, they're not good, there's no reason to have them. But you know, your Social Security is annuity. And there's not a whole lot of people that have pensions anymore. But if you have a pension, Mr. Dasher, I think you probably have one from the state, that's an annuity. And that's what you think about when you think about annuities. There are some good annuities and there are some bad annuities, but annuities are not bad. So when I go and try to help people with planning for retirement, my job is to try to figure out how much money do they need in retirement, and how do we get the money out to make sure that they don't die before that money runs out. We want that money to live as long as they do, and we actually would love to have a legacy so you can leave it to your kids or your grandkids or something like that. So that's one of the things that I do. And I have an office in Jessup, I have an office in Brunswick, I have an office in Glennville, and we have one in Reedsville. So we have 4 offices that I operate out of. So that's the reason why I don't go to Rotary anymore, because I'm at one of the offices just about every week. Thursday is my day to go to down to Brunswick, so I go down there to meet with clients there that I have down there. But you know, the thing about the whole sequence of returns is that you got to make sure that when you're working with your advisor, that they're aware of what the market's doing when you're taking money out, because you want to be able to either have a amount of money in some type of annuity that is coming out every year. It's going to be the same amount of money. There's not going to be any changes. It's not going to fluctuate with the market, interest rates, or anything like that. Second thing you want to do is you want to have another pot of money somewhere that you could get money out if this account goes down. And I can show you mathematically on the computer, and if you want me to do any of that stuff, that shows you if you took money out, and let's say like this person had a negative 38% that first time, and then the second year we took money out of somewhere else and didn't touch this money, I guarantee you this would probably get them down to 87 or 88. So I'm going to give you a real life scenario of a client that I met not too long ago. So I like LinkedIn. I'm a pretty big LinkedIn guy. So a friend reached out to me, or a guy that I didn't know reached out to me not too long ago, who works for GP Cellulose in Brunswick. And he said, hey, I want to talk to you because I'm not sure that I have enough money to retire. And he and I are the same age. So we sat down and we looked at what he had. His wife doesn't work. So we started looking. He has extra income. He didn't know what to do with it. So he wasn't making enough over the amount to where he couldn't do a Roth IRA. So I advised him, I said, let's do a Roth IRA for you and your wife. You can put $8,000 a year in it and do it for both. He can put $8,000, she can put $8,000. Well, we ran the scenario, and when we ran the scenario the first time with just what he had, and I told him, I said, just give me an interest rate, you know, and he said, let's just do 5%, and then we started pulling money out what he thought he would need. He ran out within 10 years, well, 15 years. He ran out within 15 years. So we calculated if we put $8,000 a year into this Roth IRA, and we could just get 3% a year, which I know we can do a lot better than that, but if we could average 3% a year, at the end of when he's 67 or 70, when he wanted to retire, his money would last out to 95 years old by utilizing both accounts. So those are the things that when you're looking for an advisor, you want somebody that's going to be able to advise you on some of that kind of stuff also. So, and that's kind of what I do. I love doing this. I'll be honest, I do not like home and auto insurance. I don't know anybody that does, except maybe these two ladies here. I do not like home and auto insurance. That's why I don't sell it. When I worked for Country, I inherited two people that came over, and it was a godsend for me because I didn't have to do anything. They did everything. I didn't have to worry about doing any of that stuff. I sold one auto policy in the 17 or 18 years I've been in the PNC business, and that one auto policy was because I got mad and sent everybody home, and somebody came in wanting an auto policy, and I had to fumble through it and do it, but I did it. But I refuse to ever do it again. So, but I do like the home and auto products because I do think there's a need for that because, you know, one of the worst things, I hear it all the time, and I know they do. Insurance doesn't pay for anything. It never does this. It's a scam. It's blah, 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 blah. You sit down with someone whose house has burned completely to the ground, and you sit across your desk from that person, and you look them in the eye and say, look, this is the absolute worst possible scenario that you're going to have from here on out. You're going to be able to rebuild your house back. It doesn't matter what you like or what you hated about your house. You're going to be able to rebuild it the way you want to rebuild it. We're not going to tell you how to do it, but we're going to give you the money to do it. And you talk about a weight lifted off of somebody's shoulders. That's what insurance is for. And I understand, you know, oh, I have a roof and I got one shingle blown off. I want the whole roof replaced. They don't do that. It just doesn't work that way. So I apologize about that, but you know, those are not our rules. Those are the state of Georgia rules and the insurance rules. So you know, I just want you to, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, that's what I do. And if y'all had any questions for me, you know, my speech is really short and sweet, and that's kind of it. Because I know that people like to eat and then talk and go back to work and all that good stuff. So I'm open to any questions that you have. I also, just so you know, I have some brochures in the back that tells you some of the things that we offer. We not only offer mutual funds, managed funds, we do annuities, life insurance. Like I said, I work with a lot of executives, selling life insurance to them and everything. And we have one of the best companies, Penn Mutual Life, which is very exclusive. They're out of Pennsylvania. They are phenomenal in their underwriting, their cash values, their premium, everything. They're just phenomenal. I put them up against any company that you throw at me. And I think that's it. That's all I have. So unless there's like 1,000 questions that you guys are just so ready to ask me, I'll go sit back. All right. Well, thank you. I'll be around, so if anybody does have any questions or anything, you're more than free to talk to me. But just, y'all can keep this, take it home, show it to your spouses and say, hey, look, when we retire, we need to make sure we do this. So Bitcoin, that's a good question. I get that a lot also. So my broker-dealer, who is HTK, Warner, Townsend, and Kent, they will not let us do any Bitcoin. And I'm not a big Bitcoin guy either. I don't understand it. I don't like it. I don't understand how you have to mine for it. All this kind of stuff, I just don't get it. You know, the state of Georgia is being inundated with data plants coming into our communities and taking a bunch of power and making a lot of noise. There's one over in Outland County right now that some farmers are very upset about. I'm not in favor of Bitcoin yet. I think it needs to be some more regulations and some more things looked at. I'll tell you a story about that. I've got a brother-in-law who works for Walker Jones Chevrolet over in Waycross, and he called me one day and he said, man, everybody in the dealership's getting into this Bitcoin right now, and I've got some money I want to put in it. What do you think? I said, don't do it. Just don't do it. He said, okay. 3 months later, he called me. He said, man, everybody over here is crying the blues. And I said, why? He said, they're all losing their money in Bitcoin. He said, I'm sitting there smiling like a mule eating briars, you know. He said, I haven't lost a penny. And I said, well, I told you don't do it. He said, I know, and thank you. So that's my opinion of Bitcoin. I just don't think there's enough rules and regulations to manage it. The other thing is that when you see stories about a guy who stole $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and goes to jail, and he had all these famous athletes touting it and everything, and a lot of people lost money. I just personally stay away from it. I'm old school. I like the old way. Put it in the market, put it in a mutual fund, put it in an annuity, give me a guaranteed rate. Hey, good to see you too. All right, that's it. All right, thank y'all.
If there's nothing else, then we're all dismissed.